Hello and welcome back to your Puerto Rico Home Matchmakers. And today we have a special guest, Brenda. And Brenda actually moved here to Puerto Rico about 13 years ago, was it?
About 11.
11 years ago. So I wanted to interview her so she can share a little bit about what her experience has been here on the island, what she's been through, why she moved here. So we're just going to go ahead and start the interview and let Brenda tell you a little bit about why she decided to move here to Puerto Rico. So Brenda, obviously this was 11 years ago. So what inspired you to all of a sudden pick up, you used to live in Chicago,
Yes.
and you lived there pretty much all your life.
Born and raised.
And that's where we met.
Yes.
But what made you decide to move to Puerto Rico?
I love the weather.
Okay.
Most importantly, I like the fact that it's really nice and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that this was going to be a safer place for me to raise the kids.
Well, then that's important to know, right?
Yes.
Because coming from a big city, we have the risk of gangs and shootings and all this craziness that city life, has for our children. So you decided to move here. You wanted a safer place for your kids. But what kept you here? Because, some people move to Puerto Rico, but then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? They do 1 or 2 years and then all of a sudden they go back to the U.S. But what actually kept you here?
I want to say the people are nice.
Mm-hmm.
The neighborhoods are nice and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You live basically like it's different. Life is different. You live free. I got my doors open, all my windows open. Nobody messes with you. Everybody, todo el mundo es friendly.
Okay.
Friendly. Me encantó Puerto Rico porque de verdad que...
La gente.
La gente y where, I feel different. I don't feel locked up for 6-7 months in the cold weather. I feel all year round like I'm in a safe place.
No, and the beautiful thing about here is like you said, you're not locked down living in Chicago and living in an apartment and the weather, the snow, the shoveling and everything that goes with, living up north and snow. Yeah, you're locked up quite a bit.
About 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. And here at least you can step out at any given time all year round with your chancletas, with your shorts. And there you go. Yeah. And now I know that when you came here, obviously you came with your kids and you still have a daughter in Chicago, right?
Yes.
That lives in Chicago that eventually will move here, we hope, right? But what inspired you to, I know that you were here for, not for Maria, because I know that you took off.
I was here, Maria happened in September, I believe, 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up leaving in December.
So
I went to Florida with my sister.
Okay, so basically you were here though for the storm.
Through the whole storm. And
you were here for a few months after the storm.
After the storm.
So tell me a little bit about that. How was that experience?
It was the first time I experienced a hurricane. Mm-hmm. It was a scary experience because I have never experienced it. Mm-hmm. But through all, everybody was helping each other. Mm-hmm. There was no power, there was no water, but there was the churches passing by, giving us, supplies. If we needed anything extra, they were willing to help us out.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a bad experience because it was my first.
Right.
And I had small kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I decided to go to Florida until everything calmed down and the water came back and the power. But I was out there for about a month.
Okay.
And I just wanted to come back fast.
See,
it felt home already, even though I went through, through Maria.
Yeah, and a lot of people went through Maria that had that same experience. And let's talk a little bit about community, right? You said that, one of the things that was great was that people were helping each other. People were coming as a community and supporting each other and helping each other out. Get through those tough times. And you were how long were you without water and light?
For months.
I almost remember
for months.
So 6 months maybe?
About maybe 6 months.
Yeah, because I remember Marlene was telling me a little bit about that. And listen guys, she went through a hurricane, a major Category 5 hurricane here on the island. And she's still here, okay? She's still living on the island because she loves the people. She loves the community. And like she said, people do come together in those times. And that's why Puerto Rico is known for being so resilient, that the people here are resilient. And I know a lot of actually, people that have moved here from the U.S. that also went through Maria and are still here. They're still here. And so that tells me a lot, and it should tell us a lot about, Puerto Rico, the resilience, why people still love it here, why the community is so important. And so tell me a little bit more. I mean, you've been here 11 years. You've lived in Lares, Puerto Rico pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole time. You went through Maria, you went through no water. So tell me a little bit about that experience, not having water. Like, where did you go to get water?
Le dicen el pozo.
El pozo, okay.
It's just the natural water.
Springs?
Like from the mountains.
Okay.
There was a certain, where I lived, in the area I lived, there's a pathway. And right there's like a big pozo. You go and fill up your whatever,
water
anything you
containers.
have, any container you have with water.
And so that's how you took a bath?
Took a bath.
And then you had no electricity. So how did you handle
electricity. We didn't have none.
Okay.
Candles in the night.
Okay.
Candles. Whatever you're going to cook that day, go shopping and cook it. But most of the time was canned stuff.
Wow.
Canned foods.
And see, guys.
There was no meat for every day.
And see, that teaches us here, obviously I didn't experience because I wasn't here, but it teaches you survival. How to survive in times where there is no water, there is no electricity. And, I remember once when I first moved to Puerto Rico where we had no water, right? We had no water. And I remember it was one of those storms, it was a lighter storm, but they shut down the water for I think we were out of water for 4 or 5 days. And it's amazing that, we went to Walmart and we bought a bunch of little gallons of water, and 1 gallon of water was enough to take a shower, guys. Okay? We waste so much water, but literally 1 gallon of water.
When you're in that spot, yeah.
When you're in that spot where you have none.
Make it work.
You make it work. And with a little cup, I was taking a shower and just, doing, water. Okay, soap up. Okay, now rinse. And I mean, 1 gallon of water got me through a whole shower. And so I also learned to appreciate the fact that even in the little, Puerto Rico can do so much and the people can do so much. So, we have to be grateful for that, because we learn that resilience, how to be strong, how to be, just be able to really live on this island. And how many people didn't actually stay here through Maria, there's still people on the island with no power, guys, from Maria, and they still have no power. But they're still here. They're still making it work, whether that's with a generator or whatever, but they're still making it work. And so I think that that's one of the parts I like more about Puerto Rico since I moved here, is that sense of community, the sense that anywhere you go, es buen provecho. Everybody says hi. Nobody's just walking around like in Chicago. It was like, all right, get out of my way. I got to do what I got to do. Nobody said hi. Nobody said anything. But here, you go to restaurants and everybody's buen provecho. They say hi. It's different. How about the kids? How did the kids adapt?
They were little when I brought them. So they really grew up here. And they've adapted very well. They speak both Spanish and English. Not all kids speak both. And they got their little friends.
Nice. So they like the school.
They like it. They like the school, the friends. They like it here. But if they have a chance to leave, they'll leave.
But where would they leave, though?
They say Chicago. They say they would love to be in Chicago.
Yeah, but that's because they haven't experienced that weather all year, every year.
That's why I say, when you get older, go visit Chicago for a little bit so you can see,
Yeah, well, because here, they're able to ride horses. Yes. They're able to go outside whenever they want. It's a different lifestyle. You know what? And it's
different beaches that you get to experience all of them.
And not only that, I think kids here grow up more, what's the word? Homely, more humble, because they experience those things. So now they appreciate more. But I think that kids here grow up a little bit more, you know, like calmer, you know, not like city kids. You know, city kids sometimes, you know, are just not the best. Not the best. And we know, because, you know, one of the reasons that, you know, I moved here obviously after my kids were grown, but my son recently moved here, as I mentioned in a previous video, with his wife and the 2 kids. And yeah, you know, it's their first year here, the first 6 months, 7 months that they've been here. And, you know, they like it, but they're, you know, they're having some reservations, right? They're having some reservations about, but I think that's normal, because I think I felt like that the first 6 or 7 months too, where I'm like, did I make the right move? But once you really find friends here, when you find you know, like connections, right now, obviously they're living in a rental. So, you know, once they find their house, once they find that home, I think it's going to be different for them, you know? So let's just keep praying that that's the case.
They're gonna like it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, again, if you're planning to move to Puerto Rico, these are the things that you have to listen to, like the testimonies of people like you, Brenda, that have lived through a hurricane, right? Because I think that that's what people usually say. Oh my God, I don't want to move there. There's hurricanes. But hey, we have fires in the U.S. We have tornadoes. We have temblores. What do you call earthquakes? You know, we have it all in the U.S. Here, at least a hurricane warns you way in advance. Hey, I'm coming, so get ready. Where, you know, a tornado doesn't warn you, a forest fire doesn't warn you, a earthquake doesn't warn you, right? So, you know, when people talk about hurricanes, I'm like, you know, that is really the dumbest excuse I've heard about not wanting to live in paradise because there's hurricanes, because you do get plenty of warning where you can prepare, one, or you can decide, hey, this is time for a vacation. Let me go take a vacation, you know, out of the hurricane area, and then come back when the hurricane's over. So, you know, I think that people need to understand that too, because you living through that hurricane, and you know, the house is here. I mean, you lived through the hurricane, but how was the house that you were living in?
It was all cement.
It was all cement.
Yeah.
And most of the houses here are really made of solid cement.
Yes.
So you know, a hurricane, even a Cat 5 hurricane, the most damage you're going to get is maybe water damage. If, you know, you get too much water on your roof, or maybe there's a little water on the street. But for the most part, really, the houses are built very, very good, where they withstand hurricanes. So did you feel safe through that whole process, or were you a little like? No.
I felt safe because it was all cement, the house.
Exactly. So you knew the house wasn't going anywhere.
No.
Yeah. And see, that's you know what happens. I think that the worst part is always the aftermath, which is, you know, the no light, the no water. How long is it going to be no light? How long is there going to be no water? And that uncertainty. But again, you know, community comes together. Yes. And I think that that's what people need to understand here in Puerto Rico, that community
Everybody helps each other out.
Everybody helps each other out, you know, because how was your experience with your neighbors?
It was good, because everybody was sharing food. If you need water, I got water. If you need milk for the kids, you know, everybody, todo el mundo compartió.
Yes, and that's
and
the beauty.
And then the churches, they come and they check up on you as well. Okay, they bring you boxes of food.
Yep.
That was a lot of help too.
Yeah.
The stores were, you know,
sold out.
Yeah, sold out.
Yeah, and we're empty.
I had to travel to go and see if I could find water. And they were like, go to the pozo. There's water in the pozo for free. And that's what we started doing.
Yeah, see? And I think that that's what people need to learn here. You use your natural resources here, because, you know, we do have rivers. We do have pozos. We do have waterfalls. We do have, you know, all the things where you can get, you know, the free water and all that stuff. And electricity, like you said, you know, you lived with candles for a while.
Candles, yeah.
And that's okay, because, you know, you just learn to go to bed earlier. Go to bed a little earlier, and that's it. You kind of just go through it. Yeah. And that's the resilience of Puerto Rico, guys. Thank you so much, Brenda, for sharing your testimony and why you actually moved here, why you're still here, right? And do you plan to ever leave?
I'm hoping not, unless it's an emergency, but I think I must stay here.
Yeah. Well, nothing compares. I think that, like you said, the beaches, the you know, the mountains, the weather, the people. You know, which we've spoken about this before, and we both come from Chicago, so we know about the cold weather, about living, you know, in areas that are not so pleasant, you know, worried about the kids and where they're going to be raised. And, you know, praise God, my kids, you know, were raised okay, but, you know, that was always that fear of, you know, are they going to join a gang? Are they going to go the opposite way? You know, and here kids just don't grow up that way, you know, especially when you live more in the country, you know, which I love, by the way. I love the country. But anyway, I wanted to thank you, Brenda, again. Guys, you know, if you want to buy here, or if you have a house you want to sell here because you really don't want to come back to the island, that's fine too. But if you have a house you want to sell, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans here that want to buy, including Brenda, that's looking to buy right now. But, you know, if you want to buy a house here, if you want to return to the island, you know, don't be afraid to make that move, because really Puerto Rico is a place where community is key. And you're not going to find that on the mainland. You're not going to find neighbors like you do here. You're not going to find that community that just helps each other and comes together when there's a catastrophe of some sort, right? So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on our next video, but don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who you think might be wanting to move here to Puerto Rico. And we'll see you on the next one.